Well, we're in the middle of May now, and I know I haven't done any updates or anything on Steam Railroading Institute, but that's because we've been busy, or I've been busy, and I didn't think there was a lot going on at the time, and now there is, so I thought I'd let you know. Yeah, still a lot of maintenance work on the 1225. We're slowly getting around to it as money allows, and we can order the parts and they become available. Just a little under 3 weeks now until the June 6th trip. It's gonna be a pretty good one. We're looking to put a lot of miles on the engine. Good 250 all round trip. It needs a bath. We cleaned the rods off. They need to be they'll need to be hard greased when the day comes and get that all done. We're looking to actually go all the way to Cadillac without doing any servicing to it. That way we're not babying it too much. We believe we're greasing it way too much, more often than we should. So we just need to really get them filled up and use the grease that's in there. Only if we have a problem should we be greasing it as much as we should. We did the light grease on all the smaller bearings, of course, because that's easier to get to. See, it's all in there. So that's all done, so we'll move on to the hard grease. Some parts that we've taken off and fixed, cylinder cocks, they've been taken off and adjusted and worked on repacking, especially this side, the fireman's side. So moving along there, those are all done. You can see where the dust is blowing onto it after it cooled down from the March trip. Pulling it in and out of the building here. It was pretty dry last month. The rains finally came, and it made it look like the engine's been through the desert. So that's just how dry it was out here for this spring, and now it's getting pretty wet out. Not much today. This side we're still gonna have to do some repairs to, well, mainly to the paint, but I don't know what we're gonna do about that before this trip, as it's getting a little close. We have to replace that whole pipe now. Talked about that before MPE, and just capped off the pipe here, but there's a leak somewhere else on it that when the blowdown occurs on the other side, it actually sprays against here. There's a leak because it still comes out, so that's why the paint got all messed up again. But it still works, so because of the outlet there, so we're not too worried about it. We really want to get the jacking back on the firebox, but that's not going to happen before this trip because there's so much else to do. We need to just give this engine a bath and call it good. We burned out, I didn't point this out, we burned out one of the dynamos during the March trip to Claire, and you can see some pieces laying here from the aftermath of trying to get that running again. Just to give you an idea, we got the ratchet set, all these drivers in here. That's actually pretty small for some of the stuff that's on this engine. Yeah, so we had to get a second dynamo out of the combine that was in there stored. So you can see there's only one dynamo up there right now. We're gonna put the other one on, the spare one we got. It might have been the 76s, but I don't think that one was big enough. So it might just be one that was lying around somewhere. So I'm going to go around to the front of the engine now and get up on there and show you something else. Here we have a piece of conduit connection for plugs that we're going to be putting on the electrical system on the engine. Probably somewhere here on the outside. Like, where is it? Yeah, where this one goes. You can't see it in here because it's already painted black. But this one I think is going to be a double. So we'll replace one of these. Well, this one's a double too, you just can't see it very well. sorry about that, I don't have a flashlight with me, because most of what I'm doing right now is going to be in the light. So here's one of the plug pieces. This is for a bigger one, so not like that. This would be like a 480 kind of thing. Well, no, this is a double. This just has the big opening. So my bad on that, but yeah. We're looking to upgrade the electrical system so that way we can plug in stuff on the outside of the engine, or when you get a new power tool somewhere, run it off the dynamo instead of having it off the generator that we need to fire up directly. I don't think what we got on there is good enough to do that. So it depends on if we can keep the generators, the dynamos going at full capacity, or if we gotta do something like what we're doing right now where they don't burn out like the one did and has to have its innards replaced. Up here, I mentioned it before that we never really tied the jacket down up here, just based on some problems we had before getting it done. You look over here behind it, you can see that piece of wire is what's holding this front piece of the jacket together, aside from the hatch cover here for the superheaters. And that used to be what happened on this side, but this trim piece here on the front has kind of held it down pretty good, except at the very top. But it's kept it from flapping too much, and I want to get that covered. I took a strap, half a strap that was like some of those bands down there, and cut it to the right piece to fit in there, and get around the bolt on the smokestack. And the reason I really want to do that is to cover up this hole here where the pipes are coming out next to the feed water heater, where the exhaust goes to this attachment on the smokestack. A lot of people just think it's a straight smokestack, but it's actually a double, where the exhaust from different appliances goes into it as well. It's actually separate from the steam and smoke coming out of the smoke box, but it's still attached to the same stack. And you can see that right there. So that's what I mean by that. But the thing is, this space in here, there's a, if you look down in here, there's actually a cavity in there where those pipes go through. And working on the feed wire here, when we had the cover off, we dropped a bunch of tools in there. It's kind of hard to reach your arm in there and try and pick them up, because my arms just barely get in there to try and reach down in, and you can only go straight in. We had to get a long handle magnet and try and get them all out. We got them all out and cleaned it all up, but we don't like losing tools in there. And back in the days when it was on the railroad, there would have been like some sort of cover there to go in with the jacket, so I'm making that right now. I hope to have it on before this trip goes, so it'd be easier to do the servicing. We'd like to get a collar around the smokestack to trim the edge here on the jacket, so that way moisture like rain or steam, when it condenses out of the smokestack, doesn't run down here, get trapped in between the jacket and the insulation and cause it to rust, especially with all the hard wire we use to run it. I mean, there is water treatment that we use, but that leaves behind residues as well. Pieces that I'm talking about, these are really just scrap pieces. I painted the one because I made that last week. I had to leave it outside, and I probably just got to spray paint it with Rust-Oleum gloss black paint. Once I get them all screwed in up there, I gotta go underneath that muffler piece. That's gonna mean another trim piece has to go below that and attach to the long trim piece here. That's actually gotta go on the smokestack, go between the smokestack and the feed wire here. This piece here is gotta be the actual cover for that opening, and it'll be screwed at the top. So if we need to reach in there for some reason, I'll just unscrew this and not the whole thing. This piece here is going to fit up against that corner of the smokestack that you see there, where there's no trim to meet it. That way if we put trim in there in the future, it won't be blocking it. Got one of our machines in here, just basically collecting stuff on it for right now. We had to move it off the flat car. We sold another one to Barney so he can use it in his new shop. and that's where we're at so far. We gotta get this cleaned off and use it eventually. It needs to be moved probably to the back there. We got our machine shop set up. Here we got more pieces of metal like what I've been using. These are actually the scrap pieces from this pile, and what they've been doing is they've been making a jacket insulation cover for the muffler out here on the power car. There's a inside there, the big Detroit diesel engine has a big muffler at the top of it, and as you can see there's a stack there for the exhaust, and they really wanted to get that all insulated and covered and help take away the noise and vibration that's coming from this car, especially at the front. It really shakes if you watch it go down the tracks just from the vibration alone. But if you look here in the power car, what they've been doing, they took and they covered over the whole muffler with all the sheet metal, just like what we do with steam locomotives with a jacketing. So this is the jacket for that. And they did a pretty good job. He said he wanted to cover the exhaust pipe too down here and try and take away more noise, but we've run out of time to do that. It'd take another couple weeks to get all this insulated and covered. He wants to move in the future, move this move the oil tank and the air system down to that end of the car, but that requires some redoing of these tubings. This is actually the blowing section of that device, the actual jet blowing of the air out to cool the engine to keep it from overheating. And he wants to cover this whole thing with the jacket itself, cut down on more vibration and noise. Eventually we'd like to move the tank here that supplies the fuel over here and then cover this section with like a wall and a doorway to get in there, and just make this our little workshop here as a smaller tool car, which it kind of is already. On the box car, I'll show you that, the rest of that, another update, how much that's, if that's finished, but right now it's not. I go on the other side here and show you. As you can see, it's not finished, but I did manage to scrape all the decals off this end. The door is the same. I still got just the one layer of paint on there, but I did manage to get the primer on the other side before I hit the flag. It needs to be taken off the rest of the way. So that's where I'm at so far. That's mainly the part that was already coming off of it that I've scraped off. So that's what was left of it. And there is rust underneath there. You might be able to see a little bit of green where some algae started growing and moss. It's pretty disgusting. The other side was worse though. That's why I started on that side. So this year, actually next month, I'm hoping this car will be all finished. I'll move on to the next one. I already started scraping off the trucks on this side, so it'll look like a brand new car. I'm using the open air car yet. It costs us about $200 a day due to the lease agreement, so we gotta make sure we sell enough tickets to actually do that. Got the Pere Marquette caboose over there. We're waiting for either a grant to do the paint job or someone willing to step forward to paint it. I'd like to get it done before MPE this year, so that way it's not looking so rough. They did the work on it last year, including on the outside where they replaced the metal on the very bottom edge there. You can see that's a different color. It was all rusted out, and the floorboards inside were rotted. So that guy. 76 project. We had the Explorers open house a couple weeks ago, and they did pretty well. Even though it was a free event, still got some donations out of it. We met a lot of people. Thanks for coming out if you did. And not much has happened with 76 other than moving it in here and trying to get things ready for the rest of its restoration. It's still pretty much the same as it was during Train Expo, except you can see the starter lines marking off the boiler for the gridding for the ultrasound. We might have to redo some of these This is really just their practice run to try and get started late last summer. Just teach the kids how to do it. Now we're still trying to teach them how to raise some more money for it. And of course, your donations really help out with this thing. You just gotta make sure that you let us know that you want to donate to the 76 project. So our Explorer group is real ecstatic to try and get into this thing, but it takes help. It takes money. It takes time. But for right now, it's just in here waiting to go. We'll see what happens this summer. If we'll take some of that money and actually do any big work on it. The boiler needs to be taken back off the frame here and worked on, but still a ways away from that. We've gotten a few $1,000s the group has to try and get it going. They've spent a few thousand already trying to clean it up and get it all primed so that way it looks nice and it's protected from the elements. So that's where we are on that. You can come down and work on it with the Explorer group. I mean, it's not just for the kids, but you gotta let us know. We prefer you help us work on the 1225 since that's such a big project. It helps us weed out the people who don't really want to help. But if you're really wanting to do this, then yeah, we'd like you to come down. We'll show you how to work on trains. We got a bunch of light fixtures in here that we've collected from our electrician, and we're going to be putting those up to help light up this whole shop even better than what it is right now. There's a few burnout lights in the other section, kind of like these, but the older kind that ran out of juice, and some of these are actually got to go to Barney. Actually, I think about half of them are, so he's going to put those in his new shop, or outside of it. These are outside lights too. We're going to get these all hung up and get them all done. Now back outside, we got a lot of stuff gathering here. Some of it's miscellaneous stuff. Some of the stuff we're going to build is this water column. We actually got this last fall. I've been keeping it a secret since then. Barney went and got it with his trailer from the North Carolina Transportation Museum there in Spencer. This is an old C&O water column they had for a while, just sitting out there. It's kind of deteriorated, but nothing a little Bondo can't fix. Maybe some welding, but it should be able to work once we set it up. And it'll really cut back on having to drag the hoses out and hook them up to the fire hydrant. You can actually get a permit and get the main line put in there from the city, and we just gotta have a cistern for it to sit in so the water doesn't freeze in the winter. You can see it's a pretty tall one. This is a former C&O water column. Not sure where exactly it was originated at, but that's what railroad it is. So it probably somewhere in Virginia, West Virginia, maybe down Ohio, since it was in North Carolina where we got it from. See the bell piece here. This is so I'm guessing it serviced a lot of articulateds, like even Alleghenies. So I'd like to set it up. It's gonna go over there by where the fire hydrant is. Plan on having Barney build himself a funnel so he can fill the tank engines up with it too. Back here we got the new enclosure for the air compressor that we have in here. Now that we got the enclosure in it, we're much happier. Those guys did a pretty nice job building it too. It's kind of a mess around here because they've been trying to pick up after themselves, but they did a pretty good job. We got an alternator in there, trying to run the electricity for it. Now, we got a lot of these poles lying around. You're thinking telephone poles? Actually, no, they're light poles. We're going to put one back here, so one there. We're going to have one, no, actually a couple here along this track here, where we do the ash servicing See, with the one laying right there, and I'd auger a hole and drop it down, probably go in about 4 or 5 feet down, and mount them up there, and we're going to have the lights hanging from them. Light up this place, kind of like what we got down there in the parking area. So, lots of stuff happening. And it looks like he's going to go get some more cars or even drop these off. So, anyway, that's what's been happening here. Sorry about the dandelions all over the place. They make the grass look worse, but I got a guy supposedly coming to spray them all. He's got a business that does that, but he's been backed up because of, well, how bad the dandelions are this year. So, kind of like last year, only I think it's worse because they got even taller than the grass because of all the nice weather we have. So, that's what's been going on at SRI, getting ready for the June trip, and for other trips too in the future. So, yep, from SRI, we'll see you in a few weeks.